What's good, YouTube? It's RuneXY Joe here. There's a new deck that I'm excited to finally showcase. It is a few months old in the OCG, it is pretty new in the TCG, and it is finally out in Master Duel. And that deck is Elfnote. I am excited for this deck because I've been actually waiting to want to build something with this deck because I'm a big fan of synchros. I wanted to finally show off the deck, and I wanted to show it off with pure Elfnote because I personally think pure is the most optimal because being able to play first and second. There are other variants that are to be tested, and only time will tell which one is the best variant, but it is probably best to play pure. If you could play pure, you could play the other variants. It's just about splashing stuff. But in the near future, we'll see so many other variants. There's going to be, as of now, there's Elfnote Fiendsmith, there's White Forest, there's Centurion that I heard of, and probably the second most optimal is probably going to be branded once we get branded support. So there's a lot unexplored territory for this deck, and I wanted to do a unconventional deck profile. I don't want to deck profile everything just because I don't want something to get banned and then I have to make an update video. This is more going to be a reference guide to show what the deck does, how to play the deck, how to show the one card combos, and finally replays. Showing this should be able to be more of a timeless video to just show the breakdown of the deck, and as the deck changes due to maybe like the ban list or things getting limited or so, you can just change ratios. I don't want to necessarily show the ratios just because they can always change because of the ban list, but as of now we'll just show what should be played and just change accordingly. So without further ado, I'd like to at least share what the deck does and what Elfnotes are all about. And with that, let's start this video. So Elfnote is a spellcaster synchro deck that utilizes the main middle monster zone as their way to be summoned. They usually don't use a normal summon, so that gives the deck a lot of flexibility, but the deck, its power is by switching to the main monster zone to be able to use their effects to do things. Whether it's on your turn, they have something unique, and they also have something unique on the opponent's turn. Now, I will summarize them by showing them by color based off their attribute. That'll make things easier because some people are not going to remember Lucina, Tinia, Regina, and Fortuna sometimes. So I'm just going to call them based off their attribute. So red searches anything except itself when it's your turn. So all the Elfnotes have the effect to do something on your turn and do something on the opponent's turn. So starting off with just doing something with our turn, Elfnote Lucina or red searches anything except itself. This is the searcher of the deck. This is probably the most common way to start a combo usually, so you really want to play this first. Tinia or blue is a spell placement. Its effect is just to place a continuous spell that you will be using to further extend. Regina is a extender. Usually you want to special summon this after you'd used red and blue, but there are situations or a 2-card combo where you are able to do more on your opponent's turn as well, to special summon anything except itself, any Elfnotes basically, and use their effect on your opponent's turn. It's a extender and a offensive card on your opponent's turn, but I would just gonna call it an extender just to make things better. Regina, green, usually is an extender. And lastly, yellow or light, Fortuna, is a trap placement. It's the same as Tinia, except it does a trap, and this trap is your grind game tool to be able to keep special summoning. You will see what these spells and traps do, but just know that that's the last extender or the grind game. So Fortuna is the least played or the least most copied. There's a reason for that, so that's it. So red searches, blue and yellow are spell and trap placements, and green is a extender. So that is basically what they do. Now on your opponent's turn, red bounces a monster. So just know red equals bounce monster. Blue hand rips a random card from your opponent's hand until the end of the turn. That's really strong. green, as I mentioned, can special summon itself by sending a Elfnote card, and it'll special summon itself in the if you special summon in the main middle monster zone, you can special summon any Elfnote. So usually it's going to be either red or it's going to be blue. Either one, depending on what you need, is going to be your disruptor on your opponent's turn. So that is its defensive capabilities. And lastly, yellow, it's a back row bounce if it hits the main middle monster zone. Each effect of all of them on your opponent's turn, they can, except green, can switch cards and be in the middle monster zone if there's a card there. So there's a combo of how to do it, but that is basically the rundown of the main Elfnote cards and how they work. I hope that made sense. Thank you. Now, going back to the main deck, I just want to show off how the deck is played and what is being played. We can skip non-engine. This is always going to change based off the format, based off your preference, and based off your budget, as I always say. Because sometimes, for example, I only have 2 effect veilers. I can't play 3. Either way, I wish I could, but I am on budget, so I am trying to play with other non-engine hand traps. And okay, again, it's always going to change, but for this deck, Elfnote, specifically pure, can run so many hand traps. I'm running non-engine of about 21 hand traps in this deck, so more than half my deck is non-engine hand traps, which is really threatening, especially going second. So you don't have to worry about stopping or having your opponent just combo and just sitting there. You're definitely going to hand trap your opponent in some way, shape, or form. It's really good. That's what makes this deck powerful, because it's a small engine that can run while you have so many non-engine. So let's skip that and let's just go straight to other cards that are going to be used, and we'll show off again what they do. So again, this is Lucina or red. This card is your bread and butter of the deck to search. It'll search anything except itself, and we're playing 3 because you want to max out on this. This is all about consistency. So as you can always play as many as you can of this card, and its effect is it bounces a level 6 or lower. So you can definitely stop certain decks from XYZ summoning, Link summoning, or doing anything like once they use their normal summon. So this could be a very powerful card. So that's 3 of those. We're playing the second best, Tinia. This is another starter. You want to play as many of these as well, because this is also an end board piece. Again, blue searches a spell card. So blue and blue, that's easy. They'll get a spell card, which we will showcase what that does in a bit, but just know it's an extender to special summon more. Basically, that's what it's for. Whether you search red first or blue will extend to more of your plays. So you want to play max of this because it's a starter and an extender. Really strong. And its effect during your opponent's turn, you could switch locations of this card to your main middle monster zone, and the monster in the center of the main monster zone. Then you can banish 1 random card your opponent controls until the end of the end phase. Really strong, because you could do this on the draw phase. You can hand rip your opponent to have 1 less card, which is really powerful, especially if they have less cards. They have less cards to deal with. So you want to run as many as you can of these. And this segues to our next copy of maxing out. It is Elfnote Regina, or green, I'd like to call her. Green is, as I mentioned, an extender. So if this card is in your hand, send any Elfnote in spell or trap or monster, does not matter, special summon this card. And if this card is summoned on the center main monster zone, special summon any Elfnote. So again, this is an extender. Usually if you do start with red or blue, you get green, and a green will eventually get a yellow. Usually that's how it goes, or whatever you started with or have in your hand or summoned. Usually Regina will be the last piece to search the last color that you need. So our colors again are red, blue, green, and yellow. And what's good about this card is this is a 2-card combo. On your opponent's turn too, you can use this effect and special summon a Elfnote. Usually it's going to be red or blue, because on your opponent's turn, you can just swap with green to either bounce a card or rip a card on your opponent's turn. So that is pretty detrimental and also really powerful as an extender. So you want to play as many as you can of green or Regina. And lastly, the last elf note, Fortuna. Fortuna, as I mentioned, yellow gets trap. This is the opposite of blue. Yellow can get any trap. Usually you're just going to play one, and we'll explain what those are right now. And its quick effect, you can switch locations of this card in your main monster zone to the center and then return one spell or trap. This could be very useful. So for example, field spells like Yummy or something, if they try to use its effect, you can bounce it and they miss target and they already used it. So that could be pretty detrimental for them as well, because it was already activated and it missed its timing. So this is Fortuna. This is a one of card. You are not going to play many of this unless something changes and you need extra bodies, but as I could see for the foreseeable future, this is one. But again, things can always change, so just take it with a grain of salt. We're only playing one, and I think one is all you need. Introduced to the Elfnote monsters, let's show you what the spells and traps can do. So as I mentioned, blue gets a spell card, and this spell card is an extender. So it states that your main monster zone cannot be destroyed by card effects. That's a pretty good one. You can send one monster from hand or field, special summon an Elfnote with a different attribute from the one that you sent. And you cannot special from the extra deck except synchro monsters. That will synchro lock, but as you can see, this is an extender. Whatever you send, so let's say you send a Fuvalos, you can't get a wind type. You could get anything else except wind, therefore being blue, red, or yellow. You send a earth, that won't matter. You could get anything you want because there is no earth. That's just an example. But again, the whole point is to show this is an extender to get whatever color that you need. Now, for the trap, the Elfnote Rhapsodia of Madness. We'll just call it Madness or the trap because there's only one Elfnote trap. This is the grind game, bread and butter of the deck of why you can push a lot of games and interrupt your opponent a lot. This states, while you control a monster in your main monster zone, your opponents cannot attack except that monster. That's pretty important because you can actually tower them, sort of, and stop them from attacking your other monsters for protection. So that there's that. A little mini Ubel Nightmare Pain, I guess that could be. You can send one monster from your hand or field to the graveyard, then target one Elfnote monster in your graveyard with different original attribute from the one that you sent, special summon it. If you control a synchro monster, you can negate one face-up card on the field until the end of this turn. So this is a mini Radiant Typhoon trap card. It does very similar things, except instead of destroying things with quick plays, you are sending a monster and special summoning. So there's a grind game to this card that you will be special summoning something usually from the extra deck most of the time because it will extend you more. This is a disruptor and an extender, depending how you look at it. Again, it's similar to the spell, but instead it's a trap card and it negates a card on the field. Hope that made sense. So those are the Elfnotes. The last one are the tuners. This is the reason and probably the choke point of this deck. If they somehow get rid of this or banish it, this will be a pickle. I'm seeing a few ways to play. Some are playing 3, some are playing 2. I don't think you'll play 1 unless they ever limit this in any way, shape, or form. This is your only synchro other than the extra deck to synchro. So this is a very, very important card. This is a card that is an extender as well and a disruptor for your opponent because they can synchro on your opponent's turn and you can dodge target. But it gets a little complicated, so let's read it. You cannot special summon from the extra deck except synchro monsters. So you're synchro locked there. You can only use the effect once per turn during the main phase. Quick effect, target one face-up monster in your center main monster zone. Increases level by 3. Then immediately after using that effect, you can synchro summon one Elfnote monster or Junora. Junora is their boss monster that we will talk about later. We are currently not playing it just because it's not worth it, but more on that later. Basically, you're gonna be synchroing on your opponent's turn and your turn to extend to either dodge target or interrupt your opponent. If this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can add one Elfnote from deck to hand. That is the extender part of this. This is Elfnote Power Patreon. We're just gonna call it Patreon, and this is the enabler of the deck to be able to synchro and start popping off. Very, very important. We run only 2 because I don't think you really necessarily always want to see this multiple copies in your opening hand, but it could be useful sometimes. So 2 is a good ratio in my opinion. Those are all the Elfnote cards. I will now discuss the secondary engine of the deck, which is the Medius the Pure, and it's a very small engine actually. We are playing Theorealize, and this is to send Medius to Pure, and then you can look at your opponent's deck, place it on the top or bottom, and then once it's dumped Medius to Pure, you can actually banish this card and then target one face-up monster you control. You're really going to be using this card only to send Medius. You're not going to be using the other effect to banish this card and change attributes and type. This is for Fiendsmith, but again, more on that later. We just want to focus on Pure. So again, what this is Foolish Burial, basically. Theorealize. And that segues us to Medius to Pure. We are playing 3 Medius to Pures because this is a starter as well. And how is this a starter is because when this card is normal summon or special summoned, you can add or special summon 1 Power Patreon from your deck. Meaning you will summon this card, and then you can actually synchro summon this card into plays, because your goal is to send Power Patreon to the graveyard as synchro material to extend and search the Elfnote that you need, if that makes sense. So this is your extender by searching. So as you can see, they search each other in some way, shape, or form. Medius for Power Patreon for example, red gets blue gets green gets white. So there is a pattern here. So that's basically what Medius does. And what's great about Medius is if it's in the graveyard, you could shuffle 1 card, hand or face up on the field, to special summon this card but banish it. So this is an extender too. So you can easily use this as extra deck fodder. So we'll get more into that later. Just know that this is a starter of the deck, Medius the Pure. And that is actually all the main deck. The rest is just non-engine, and I'm sure you guys should know what these non-engines do. Maxi, Ash Blossom, Ghost Spell. So these are all pretty generic hand traps, but the reason we love Pure right now is because of Super Poly. I personally believe Pure is better right now because of Super Poly. Super Poly is very popular right now. It's a good card to break boards going first or second to dodge target and still use cards on your turn, or to interrupt your opponent and Super Poly their boss monster. So this deck has a lot of flexibility. As you can see, these fusion cards, each one has saved me in one way, shape, or form that I'll show in the replays, because of mirror matches, because of the best deck Kewl Tunes, because you're fighting a deck that has the same attribute or different attribute and type, vice versa. You can break boards with this, and they can't activate cards in response. That's why Super Poly is just abysmal, amazing. So that's why we play Pure over Fiendsmith. Now if you're wondering why Fiendsmith, we are not playing any Fiendsmith cards because I personally believe as of now, I'm not saying it's bad, it's just, it's to me a little bit of a win more card. You're gonna get more disruption because of Fiendsmith and more ceiling because of that, more power. But the thing is, the deck is already very consistent, plays so many hand traps. You actually expose yourself to getting hand trapped, and it's hard to half board with Fiendsmith, especially under Mulcharmies. Everyone's playing 3 Mulcharmies, and because of that, that's 3 Mulcharmies, 3 Ash Blossoms can easily stop this deck. and the worst one, Maxi. At least with Pure, you don't have to worry about that. You can rely on your non-engine to save you, but with Fiendsmith, there's no getting around it. I personally think it's because you are over comboing and it's hard to half-ward. It's kind of like an all or nothing with Fiendsmith. I'm not saying it's bad. There are definitely pushes with the deck because of things like Theorealize, which you could banish this card and then target one face-up card you control, change its attribute and type. You could easily summon Requiem with that. So see, certain things like that can work. However, again, you expose yourself to more hand traps is my ideal way of thinking, and collectively a lot of people are saying that in the Elfnote Master Duel meta chat. But again, that's just my opinion. It does not mean it's bad. Play it if you like, but you do risk lowering your non-engine and having less extra deck. That's the reasoning why we don't play Fiendsmith. But again, to each is their own. You could still play it and you could still do the same combos that I teach here. But the reason we emphasize Pure over any other variant, because the lines do not change. You learn the Pure way, you could play any other way you want and splash any other engine as well. So that's the beauty and selling point to this video. Hope that made sense. That's the main deck. We can finally go into the extra deck. Now the extra deck, we have quite the super poly combinations that we are getting. We are playing Mud Dragon for same attribute but different type. We're playing Chorozo. The reason we're playing Chorozo is because you could actually synchro summon or fusion summon this card with a spellcaster. The whole deck is spellcasters plus any extra deck. So you can essentially take away their boss monster problematic or so. So that's good. You should be playing Chorozo in this. Shout out to the player who used this, Lucas. He won the Master Duel Meta, won 222, and I will link his deck profile. He's the reason why I'm playing this way. Shout out to him. He is also a champion in my former tournaments. So my Runic Cup, he was a champion. So shout out to you for playing this card. This is actually very a unique tech. We're playing Sea Monster of Thesis, which is for Kewl Tunes really. Eventually, if Kewl Tunes does leave the format, you can essentially take this out, but this is a meta call right now. So I want to highlight that this is a flex spot. You can change this card if you don't want to play specifically for Kewl, FYI. We're playing Garura. This is opposite of Mud Dragon, two of the same types, but different attributes and different names. So we just use this for draw power basically, but it's really strong. This will cover all bases of all you need with Super Poly. Next, we are playing actually Excel Synchron. Excel Synchron, a small engine that we're doing that I didn't cover on the main deck, is usually you go into this only for Medius to Pure. Medius to Pure, again, special summons a level 1 Patreon, and you go into Excel Synchron. Now Excel Synchron will then reduce its level by sending a Synchron from deck to the graveyard. Usually, you'll be sending Jet Synchron. Jet Synchron's a level 1, thus it's the same as Power Patreon. This is your third tuner in the deck, a hidden tuner if mind you, and it has recursion too. When this card is in your graveyard, you could send one card from hand to grave, special summon it, but banish this card. So in other words, you could synchro twice. This card is an extender, usually dumped by Excel Synchron, and Excel Synchron lowers its level. It's a level 4. It's gonna be perfect to go into your Synchro 8s and 10s with Excel Synchron. Pretty great. This is a good card. I would keep it for Pure. We're playing Black Rose Dragon. This is a field bomber, and you may wonder to yourself, Runix, when are you gonna play this to destroy your whole field including this card, and how is that gonna help? Well, when you synchro into this is gonna be a synchro 7. Usually what you'll do when you're playing going second, you could summon something like Medius to Pure in the main monster zone center, and then summon Power Patreon. Power Patreon can then increase the level by 3. So its effect is, Black Rose Dragon is a combination of any elf nodes plus Power Patreon. You don't increase its level, and you'll just synchro 6 plus 1 is eventually going to turn into 7. And what that's going to do is bomb the field, and then you have follow-up, because don't forget about Power Patreon's effect. If this card sent a synchro material, add any Elfnote from deck to hand. When you do that, the whole field is bombed, so you can find any Elfnote that you need and continue playing the game and one card comboing. So that is why you have to play, in my opinion, Black Rose Dragon. Black Rose Dragon is just a card for going second, and you don't want to struggle going second. Of course, you do have a bunch of non-engine, so hopefully you could pray that that's enough, but just in case they break and push and make a end board, Black Rose Dragon is a bomb. We're playing Dragster. Dragster is a spell and trap negate. If you know your matchup, you can play this. So let's say you're gonna play against Sky Striker or Radiant Typhoon. Maybe this is a better card to play because you can basically spell and trap negate a few times with this card. And you could sometimes tell, because if let's say you rip a card from their hand with Lucina or blue, you can definitely think in your head to go into Dragster and just spell and trap negate your opponent. It's a pretty staple card in my opinion. We're playing Elfnote Seraphim. This is the sort of the end board card that you'll be using. So going to read this card gains 3000 attack while in the center main monster zone. So usually you want to keep it on the center but in defense position because you'll be moving it. But during the main phase, quick effect, so either player's turn, special summon 1 level 6 or lower Elfnote and reduce the level of all level 4 or highers by 3 until the end of this turn. Also, you can't special summon from the extra deck except synchro monsters. This is important because this is a mini floodgate. This is basically like Kewl Tunes. Instead, you're decreasing by 3, which is a lot. This is going to stop many decks. That's going to stop things like maybe Yummy from full comboing, Kewl Tunes from fully synchroing, and any XYZ cards. So this is pretty strong, but usually you're just going to be summoning either on your turn something like Power Patreon to synchro even more, or you'll be summoning any Elfnote cards that you need to interrupt your opponent, bouncing their cards, ripping a card. So that's the flexibility of Seraphim. Seraphim is a strong card too. It's 3000 defense, and don't forget the effect of Madness. Madness will force them to attack. So if you had that in your main monster zone, they could protect your other monsters if you had any. So that's Seraphim for you. An optional card that people are playing is Psyframe Lord Omega. This card is very strong depending how you use it. It's a very offensive card. Once per turn during the main phase, what this card does is banish this card and one random card your opponent's hand until your next standby phase. So they basically don't get it for the whole turn and get it back on your next standby phase. So basically if you turn 1 with this, they'll get it back turn 3. And that's important because you'll rip cards from their hand to play less. I Psyframe as an offensive card. You want to use it when, let's say, they try to maxi you and you Ash Blossom them. It's basically a hand trap board. Then eventually, let's say they have 3 cards in their hand, you can actually go up in the offense and go Psyframe Omega, rip a card, they'll have 2 cards in their hand. In addition, on their turn, let's say you summon blue, rip another card on their hand, that's 1 card left, then they have to draw 1 card. And then that's 2 cards they have to play with. That's very oppressive and limits the way your opponent can make any pushes or start any plays because of this card. Very offensive, but of course it's banished to this card, so you have to deal with other disruptions that you have to make yourself. So that's the point of Omega. It is a resource ripper. We're playing probably the most common card you're going to go into, Crystal Wing Synchron Dragon. This is a really strong boss monster. It's a monster negate. And what's cool about this is once per turn, when your opponent activates something, you can negate it, destroy it. This card gains attack equal to that monster destroyed's original attack until the end of this turn. And what's crazy is if this is in the main, middle, center monster zone, if this card battles and they're forced to attack, during damage calculation, this card gains attack equal to that monster attacking, including that buff it got. So this thing could get really big, really fast. But again, this is mainly just going to be a monster negate and destroy. Pretty good end board monster. Beautiful card I pulled or crafted and luckily got. Emancipator Ryzen. We are playing Ryzen because it's a spell and trap negate. If again, based off your matchup, if you know what it is, it's probably good to go Ryzen. And Ryzen's actually pretty good because you have a water type to be in the grave. If it's in the grave, you can essentially spell and trap negate. You're not going to be using the first effect. Basically, this is a spell and trap negate. Pretty good level 8. And lastly, that's all the level 8s here. So this is kind of optional. If you find something better, of course you should play it. But this seems optional, but it seems pretty good too. Best card in the game right now, Baron de Fleur. Omni Negate. You could literally summon this in less than 5 turns with this 5 summons. You could summon this in possibly 3 summons. So Baron's amazing. Yeah, you insulate plays with this. This is your end board piece. You could recycle this and resummon it. Really staple card. You must be playing this card. You're playing the deck wrong if you are not playing Baron. 100% Baron's the way. I'm playing Qingying because of budget. Flex card. You do not have to play Qingying. This banishes non-target the grave and the field. If you're wondering what we banish, it's a mix of you going into Psyframe Lord Omega, because you could basically get rid of problematic things, and I don't have enough for the Fabled level Synchro 10. I'm on budget, but again, you do not have to play this. I'll repeat again, you don't have to play Qingying. I am just playing it because of budget, but it's still a fine card to play. Definitely can. We're playing Chaos Angel. This could be made, if you're wondering how, together with Medius the Pure, that's a dark, level 4, and yellow, level 6. So 6 plus 4, make Chaos Angel, and it protects your monsters from getting destroyed by battle, and synchros, the whole deck is practically synchros, unaffected by activated monster effects. So a tower, pretty good tower, easily summonable as well. And last and finally not least, this is a tech card, optional, but it seems like a popular one, Typhon. Typhon, pretty good if you have no other plays, but you need a final push to get rid of a problematic monster that's more than 3000 attack. This is the card for you. Again, kind of optional, but I want to cover all bases going first and second, and for situational matchups. And this is the extra deck. This is pure elf nodes. I hope that made sense. Now, before we get into one card combo replays, I would like to show the diagram. I spent a lot of time to make it. I hope it makes sense to you guys, and I hope it's useful to anyone. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm enjoying this deck. I hope it has more and more support, and it's an unexplored deck. There's many ways to play, and I truly love mid-tier decks like this because you have many ways to play in variants, and it could be very refreshing. And it's not crazy OP, the deck. It has its issues. Doesn't mean it's not bad or good. It is definitely a good deck because it's doing really well in the OCG right now. Without further ado, here are the diagrams. I hope this made sense. Thank you so much. For this combo, this is the main way to do Red's one card combo, or Lucina. And I hope this makes sense, but it should make sense in terms of its sequence. This is probably almost what you're always going to be doing. So with this, Red is going to be special summon in the main middle monster zone. Assuming this is uninterrupted, you're going to go Red for Power Patreon to add to your hand. It searches anything, and then you normal summon it. And then you use the effect of Power Patreon to increase the center main monster zone to 3. Plus 3, so 6 plus 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. Baron the Floor on summon 3, meaning Nib is out. You have installation for anything. Omni Negate right here. Really strong. Then the effect of Power Patreon, when it's sent to the graveyard, add any Elfnote. You now will add blue. And as I mentioned, blue searches spell, or places spell to the field. And spell will send blue. Assuming one card combo, you could send something else sometimes, but one card combo, everything else is bricks. you will send blue and special summon Regina in the center. It's a very important. Special summon it in the center because its effect states just if it's summoned normal or special in the center, special summon Elfnotes. Finally, that's the last Elfnote. So we summon red, blue, green, and lastly, Regina or green will summon white or yellow. And yellow gets the trap. And trap will send Fortuna. And then what that does, the trap will special summon Power Patron from graveyard. You'll have these two plus Baron in the field. And then 6 plus 1 equals 7. You are going to go into Seraphim. Seraphim's effect, special summon Power Patron. You literally went through Power Patreon 3 times. A normal summon, special summon with the trap, and special summon with the monster Seraphim. Therefore, 7 plus 1 equals 8, which is going to be either Crystal Wing Synchron or Psyframe. Depending on what they did, you can go aggressive, rip a card in their hand so they have one less card, or you could go with more times out of 10, you're probably going to go into Crystal Wing Synchron Dragon for a monster negate. So that is the end board. You're going to have a Baron and a Crystal Wing Synchron with these two on the field. That may look weak, but is very layered, and we will show later in the one card combo how that works. This is Red's one card combo. I hope that made sense to you guys. Again, you can always see it in the timestamps to show the one card combos. Now, moving on to blue, this is pretty similar. Blue is a one card starter, again, assuming uninterrupted, the same fashion. Special summon this in the main middle monster zone, blue, and blue gets spell. Spell, assuming you only have one card in your hand, blue, spell sends blue to the grave to get Regina or green. Green, again, very, very important. Special summon this in the main middle monster center because its effect, special summon any elf node except itself. So you will summon red, and red will search anything, which you will search Power Patreon, and then normal summon it. And then that's the 4th summon. We special summon this, special summon this, special summon this, normal summon this, and lastly, 5th summon, Baron. You are now insulated from Nib, and you have a Omni Negate. And because Power Patreon got sent as effect or synchro material, you get the last one card. So as you can tell, the pattern, if you start with blue, you get green, red. The last one is always 99% of times in the one card combo, yellow. That's exactly why you only play one yellow, because yellow is the least consistent and the final combo of the last elf node that you have to search. So that gets trap. So again, blue gets spell, yellow gets trap, and trap sends yellow to get Power Patreon back on the field. So in the end, you're gonna have Baron, Lucina, and Power Patreon. Then you will synchro into Seraphims, and again, Seraphim gets us Power Patreon, and you end again on one of the two synchro 8s. You could also go Ryzen, but you're probably gonna go more times out of 10, Omega, and or Crystal Wing, or any level 8 that you can think of. This is the one card combo for Tinia, or blue. I just like to call them blue because of their attribute. I hope that made sense. That is very similar to the red combo or Lucina. Thank you. Last and finally, the weakest, arguably the weakest, one card combo. Specifically one card combo. Because again, this is very ashable. They're all ashable to be honest, except blue. But Medius the Pure, you could start on either one. It does not matter. The point is you want to get this on the field. Obviously, if you use the spell, you're gonna be discarding or sending a card back to the deck to special summon. So that's why Medius the Pure is the weakest, because it's the most vulnerable. You're gonna -1 in your hand if something were to happen. So Theorealize will send or dump, or if you open Medius the Pure, you will normal summon it, or use its graveyard effect to special summon it. Effect, when it's normal summon or special summon, it will search Power Patron. Power Patreon, we'll then just synchro the two. 4 plus 1 equals 5. You'll go into Excel Synchron, affect the Power Patreon, search anything that's Elfnote in its name. You will search red or Lucina. When it's added to hand, we still even have it normal summoned. I don't think we normal summon here, but you will then use the effect of Excel Synchron to dump Jet, lower its level by 4. 5 minus 1 is 4. You will special summon red, and red ends up getting green because we already, as normal, add to hand. So once we lower this, we use the effect of Lucina to search Regina. Regina will then send Lucina to the graveyard. Remember, very important, send Regina or put them in the main center monster zone to special summon blue. Blue gets us red, and finally the last color we went to red, green, blue. Last one, as always, the last one's always Fortuna or yellow. So yellow gets trap. Trap will send Fortuna to special summon Power Patreon. More times, okay, I'll vary 9 times out of 10. Elfnote the trap is gonna get you Power Patreon or Seraphim. Just gonna straight up say that now because these will always extend you or synchro you. So the trap will get Power Patreon from the trap. You're gonna have Regina, Power Patreon, and Excel Synchron. You're gonna synchro these two going into Seraphim. Seraphim will special summon any, this is the different part. Usually you'll get Power Patreon, you will summon any Elfnote because it's gonna be synchro fodder. So in the end, you'll have a level 6, a level 7, and a level 4 tuner. This level 4 tuner will synchro into Baron, and then you can use Jet Synchron that was dumped by sending a card from deck to hand to get Elfnote Seraphim, and then eventually go into Psyframe or Crystal Wing, having the same end board, having in the end the spell, the trap, Baron, and one of the synchro 8s. Does not matter how it goes, it's just that the reason I say this is the weakest is because it is very nib exposed here, and you can't insulate as compared to the other ones because you're special summoning a lot and they could definitely interrupt you. So that's why Medius appears the weakest 1-card combo in my opinion, but still pretty strong uninterrupted. I hope this all made sense to you guys. Thank you guys so much. So this is going to be a 1-card combo with Lucina. Assuming everything else is bricks, just the Lucina in our hand, this will show you how to go 1-card combo, have a 6 to 7 disruption board with just 1-card Lucina. So starting off, assuming uninterrupted, we're gonna just go with red. We special summon red in the main center zone, effect to add anything except itself. So here, you actually are gonna add Power Patreon. This is your essentially your normal summon. Normal summon and use the effect. Importantly, it's in the main middle monster. 6 plus 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10. So we go into Baron, and very important, do not put it in the center here. Put it in anywhere else except the center. So we summon Baron on the 3rd summon, thus making us nib proof and have an Omni negate, so we're insulated. And then we Power Patreon effect, so we use red. Now we get blue. Red gets us blue, and the main monster zone middle is open, so blue gets special effect to send or place the spell, and then the spell effect to send, assuming we have no other cards in our hand, we send blue, and blue will get us green to be special summon. Very important, you must, and I'm gonna repeat it, you must special summon in the center. If not, you will not be able to use the effect, because it states right here, can if this card is normal summon or special summon in the center main monster zone. Center. So yeah. Effect, you'll finally gonna get the last color in Elfnote. So we went from red to blue to green, and finally special summoning yellow. Then the effect of yellow gets us the trap, opposite of blue. And then the trap will send should not really matter. So yellow. And then you get Power Patreon. Power Patreon gets special summoned. 6 plus 1 makes 7, being your, I guess, boss monster and extender, Seraphim, in the center. Please place it in the center. The reason you put it in the center is you can special summon any elf nodes, and whatever you summon, you can use the effect on your opponent's turn to swap Seraphim. That's why. But the effect of Regina, when it's synchroed or sent to the grave as synchro material, add it to hand. In addition, I guess you could chain, but it really wouldn't matter. You will summon Power Patreon again. So you just literally summon Power Patreon 3 times within this combo. You normal summoned it, you summoned it with the trap card, and now you are summoning it with Seraphim. So special summon it back to the field. Do not change levels. If you do, you won't be able to summon Synchro 8. But you can if you want, and you could even go into level 4s, which are a really strong card right now. It's called Herald. You could even go Herald in this game deck. But we can choose a level 8 now. Depending on matchup, you can use Omega to be offensive, rip a card. You can go Ryzen to spell or trap negate, or just Crystal Synchro. We're probably gonna more times go Crystal Synchro. Sometimes I like to summon it in the middle or the extra deck placement because you'll be using a lot of the main monster zone. So I just summon it up on top. And this is the end board. This is 6 to 7 disruptions. Really strong, and I do want to say and explain some sequences. The reason I'm emphasizing it's 6 or 7 disruptions, because just to count, so we have the Omni negate, we have the Monster negate, we have red to bounce a card, blue to rip a card. That's 4 disruptions already, and this is the only copy you have. So if you want to use this effect, that's 5 disruptions plus the floodgate of this card. It'll reduce all level 4s or higher by 3. You could essentially disrupt your opponent from XYZ summoning. And then lastly, I have Regina to do that final one. So if you do summon yellow on the field, you can use Regina to special summon itself from the center, and then you should be able to get whatever remaining elf nodes you have not used. So I hope that made sense. This is the pure elf node 1-card combo with red. Thank you so much. Okay, so for this combo, we're gonna show the 1-card combo with Tinia, or the blue elf node is like how I like to call it. And with this, I want you to pretend again these 4 cards are bricks. They're nothing more. Of course, things will change when you have other cards to use, but for now, uninterrupted, this is a 1-card combo with Tinia only. And we start off by special summoning it, main middle zone, and effect, like the diagram, you get the spell, and then the effect to send Tinia to get Regina. So it's already in our hand, but just pretend it's not in our hand. We special summon Regina. It's very important. Put it in the middle, because this effect only activates if it is only in the center main monster zone. So we use the effect, and this will add us, or special summon us, our red or Lucina. Effective Lucina to search anything except itself. You will just get the Power Patreon. Now this is your normal summon, and mind you, this is our 4th summon here, so we are gonna still be insulated here. You will then use the effect of Power Patreon to increase the level, and do not synchro because you will be synchroing Elfnote. So you cancel and you actually go into Baron de Fleur. Do not put it in the middle. So we summon Baron, that's our 5th summon. We are insulated from Nib, and we can even chain block here. Power Patron, and then Regina. Regina adds it back to our hand, and thus this gets us our final elf node, which will be Fortuna, or I like to call yellow. So we get the yellow. And our main monster zone, the middle, is empty, so we can special summon the effect Fortuna to get us the trap,
and then the trap to send Fortuna. And this trap will get us Power Patron back, just to synchro it up. So then this, we can go into... It's hard to say this name, but I'll just call it Seraphim. Seraphim's effect to special summon Power Patreon once more. So you summon Power Patreon 3 times, your normal summon, the special summon, and this. And do you wish to change levels? You do not, because you're gonna go into level 8. Now this level 8, you have 3 options here. It depends on your matchup. It depends if, let's say they use many hand traps and you manage to get like 3 cards in their hand. It's probably better to go Omega, because Omega is more of an offensive card. You want to rip cards out of their hand to have less playability against you to break your board. But let's just say, again, this is just a normal play. We're just gonna go Synchron Dragon, Crystal Synchron, just to make it more simplified. I like to sum it up here because it doesn't matter at this point. And then that is the end of this combo. This may not look like a lot, but it is just the same as all the other 1-card combos. So for this, what we essentially have a Omni Negate, a Monster Negate, Field Negate with Madness, and then with the effect of Madness trying to special summon a Seraphim back. Seraphim will then level modulate, so it's essentially a Floodgate as well, so that's 4. And then it can synchro to get not synchro, special summon any of your Elfnote depending on what you need. So you'll get Lucina to bounce a card, that's 5. And then 6 with Tinia to rip a card randomly from your hand. So in total, that's about 6 disruptions that you could do. If you're wondering how to summon, if you summon one of the 2, you have to use Regina's effect to get rid of the middle monster zone, and then it'll special summon whatever you didn't special summon. So this being Tinia to rip a card, or Lucina to bounce a card. And with all that said, again, if you ever need to Fortuna to bounce a spell or trap, then you could do that too, but mind you, you probably only can do that with Madness. So that is very situational, but usually Regina, it will make sure you do red or blue. So if you summon red, Regina will summon blue, vice versa. If you summon with Madness blue or Tinia, then Regina will get you red or Lucina to bounce. I hope that made sense. That's 6 disruptions, not even including our non-engine that we could possibly draw. So, you know, Super Poly is really popular nowadays, and then hand traps that you could easily just have in your hand. So in total, that's at least 6 guaranteed disruptions, and of course you can always play differently based off going Omega Frame, going a further spell and trap negate with Ryzen, because Ryzen, you already have a water in the grave, so you can spell and trap negate as well. And there's a combo I like to do. This is my own niche thing because I'm on budget. If you're gonna go Omega, sooner or later you can even go Ching-Ying on the opponent's turn and non-target banish the grave, field, and graveyard. So there's a lot. So 6 disruptions there your opponent has to play through with this 1-card combo with Tinia. I hope that made sense. Thank you so much. Finally, the last and third 1-card combo to share, and arguably again the weakest 1-card combo, only because you are not nib proof. You actually summon nib towards the end. I will show 1-card combo with just Medius the Pure, going into Elfnotes and just synchroing to your boss monsters. You can also use Theorealize. Oh, that's hard to say. Theorealize to dump Medius and then just special summon it from the graveyard. But assuming, again, uninterrupted, this is how you will play this. And usually, I like to summon it in the center just in case they somehow negate it. Because if you could get Power Patreon out, that means you could go into level 8 if something bad were to happen. So we normal summon, effect, special summon a Power Patreon. And this opens up, you don't want to use the effect. Usually it's gonna make it a level 7 and then you go level 8, but that is not the play we want to do.
we actually want to go into Excel Synchron. Very important, do not special summon in the center. We want to keep that for elf nodes. The effect of Power Patron to search. Again, as I mentioned, we're going to go by colors. Red, blue, green, and yellow. We're going to actually get red to our hands. And getting red, we use the effect of Excel Synchron to dump Jet Synchron. And we're going to lower its level to be level 4. Then now we use the effect. This opens the gates to Elfnote. Red, special summons. Effect of red to search anything except itself. So we already used Power Patreon, so now usually again red gets us green here. We get green from deck to hand, and then we use the effect of green to send red to special summon. Very important, special summon it in the center, because as it states, this card is normal summoned in the center main monster zone. Special summon anything except itself. So we already went through red. It's between two, blue and yellow. We're actually gonna get blue. Does not matter how you special summon it, so I'm just gonna summon in defense position. Effect to get spell. Now the effect of spell does not matter what you send. I believe it's just smarter to send Tinia or just blue. Or you could send a hand trap, but we're gonna assume we have no other cards except that one card combo. We send Tinia or blue to get the final color yellow. Yellow's effect to get trap. Trap sends yellow. Shouldn't matter. And then that gets us Power Patreon. And then we go into 6 plus 1 is 7. You go into Seraphim. You want to special summon in the main monster zone because just in case something happens, if it's in the middle, you could swap it. That's why you put it in the middle still. This summons Seraphim. Again, the effect of green to add it to your hand. You could chain too. Special summon anything except Regina, or green. Green is gonna go to your hand, so don't summon that. One of these three, does not matter what. I'm just gonna summon red, just because. Don't change levels. Do not change levels. Then 6 plus 4 gets us Baron de Fleur. And then the effect of Jet Synchron. Send anything, we will send Fuvalos or a brick, does not matter. And then 7 plus 1, you could choose what you need depending on the matchup. But for the sake of the video, we are gonna just do Crystal Wing because that's probably what you will go into the most. I like to summon it in the extra so you're not cluttering the field. And here is the end board. Really strong. Assuming this was uninterrupted, this is what we have. We have 1 Omni Negate, 1 Monster Negate, Regina to get any elf node that we need. So that's eventually going to be a rip a card with blue, bounce a card with red, possibly, depending how you use it. Fortuna can be summoned to bounce a spell or trap, but you have to use the trap to summon it. Because then Regina will have to summon a red or blue from the deck. And lastly, Seraphim will special summon the remaining elf node that you need. Therefore, if you get yellow, Regina gets maybe blue, and then lastly Seraphim will get the remaining red or so to bounce. So in total, plus we have the potential floodgate of lowering the monsters by 3, so that's 6 disruptions your opponent has to play through. Assuming That's an uninterrupted board, 6 disruptions. In addition, you have the Madness to negate a card on the field, being 7 disruptions to your opponent. 6 or 7 disruptions. Haha, yeah, 6, 7. 6 to 7 disruptions depending on how you use Madness, because it is a field negate. That's really strong, not including non-engine in her hand, assuming this was not in her hand, just brick. 6 or 7 disruptions. That is the final 1-card combo with Medius the Pure. I hope this makes sense. Thank you.
So this first game, we were fighting a Azamina Pile. And I want to share off this game because this is going to be a 1-card uninterrupted combo with Blue or Tinia. And with Tinia, you just go full combo and you're going to end up having 6 disruptions plus these 2. So 9 disruptions, practically unbreakable board. It's really good. As always, just refer to the diagrams in the timestamp if you need any help in terms of 1-card combo. Again, this does not do justice just because we do these 1-card combos, because it's a lot of extenders that you can have in your hand when you have something like the green or Regina as well. But let's start off. We get blue to get the spell. That's normal. Blue sends the blue to get green. We already had green in our hand, but again, we did it for the sake of the 1-card combo. So that gets us green. Green specials red. Red gets Power Patreon. Power Patreon normal summons to make it level 9 plus 1, and that's our 4th summon, making our 5th summon Baron. So we are insulated now, and then the effective Elfnote Patreon and to chain block Regina to add back to hand. Then Power Patreon gets us Fortuna. Fortuna specials to get Trap. Trap will send anything. We're gonna send Regina because it doesn't even matter at this point, because we want to keep this in the middle because we're just gonna synchro fodder. We go into Seraphim. Seraphim gets back Power Patreon. We just rotated Power Patreon 3 times. Normal summoned it, special summoned it with Rhapsodia and Seraphim. 3 times we used it, linking into Cypherm Omega. We actually go very offensive here. The reason we go offensive is because of our non-engine. I was very confident here. We rip a card from their hand, and we get something crazy. Droplet. Wow, that was really good. So in total, our disruptions, which we already used one, was a hand rip, an Omni negate, Lucina to bounce, Rhapsodia to get Fortuna to bounce, or not bounce, bounce a back row spell or trap, and then Tinia to, or blue to special summon with via Regina, rip a card again. That's 6 disruptions right there. And then we have the Maxine Ash Blossom having 7-8 disruptions. In our opponent's turn drawing, they're gonna end up having 5 cards in their hand, and we Maxine. Now if you're wondering, why do we Maxine here? Not just because we want to try to get a bait, it's because Baron. We want to put Baron back in the extra deck because we can easily special summon what we need. We could get Seraphim, we could get Power Patreon if you needed a synchro, but we're not playing Junora. You could just basically access your graveyard, in other words. But they don't take the bait. In total, they try to Sinful Spoils, so we negate that. And because we finally negated that, we can use the effect of Rhapsodia to even send to the grave. They send Transaction, we draw a card, they try to set, so we're actually just gonna send at the second Ash Blossom. Remember, mind you, it's very important to remember what you send because the original attribute, you have to get something different. So if we get Fire, we definitely cannot get Seraphim, which was a boo-boo on my part. But we get Regina to negate. That's okay, because Regina will just special summon Tinia to rip one more card, having them 1 card left in their hand. They knew they couldn't play. MVP to me goes to Omega. Without Omega, they would have board broke us. And Omega is really good offensively if you have the non-engine to back it up. Pretty good showcase of a 1-card combo with Tinia or blue. Hope that made sense for you guys. Thank you. Let's go to next. So for this hand, we actually go full combo again with blue or Tinia 1-card combo, but not in the way that you think. We do get interrupted, but this shows that the deck has a push, and it also shows its weakness sometimes, that you can't extend with pure, which is making me want to think to try Fiendsmith sometime. Just normal summon like a hand trapper or something and go into Moon or something like that. Either way, we start. We special summon Tinia. Tinia gets Spell, as always. Spell tries to send Tinia, I believe, because I want to open up for Regina, even though it's in our hand already. Actually, no, my mistake. We send blue from our hand because it'll just special summon it and we could still use it. I believe I was trying to get red, but it gets ashed. This could have been choke point if I did not have Regina, and I would have just stayed with just 1 card in the hand, which shows the weakness of this deck. A generic hand trap could easily stop a 1-card combo, thus making this deck kind of vulnerable and not strong to push through unless you have the extender. So we send, so it's like as if nothing happened, like our 1-card combo diagram. We get green, green gets us red, red gets us Power Patreon. That's our 4th summon here, normal summon, and it's like the last combo, as always. And this time, we're actually going to do something more aggressive. We like our hand traps here, so we're actually going to go Omega in the final combo. We Regina to add to hand to chain block Power Patreon. Power Patreon gets us our final color, yellow. So again, how it starts, you go from blue to green to red and finally yellow. Fortuna is almost always in the 1-card combo with Elfnotes, gonna be the 1 card that you get last. Fortuna specials, gets Trap. Trap sends the center to get Power Patreon. Power Patreon will link Synchro into Seraphim. Seraphim gets Power Patreon again. We just went into 3 Power Patreon rotations, going into Psyframe to rip a card. We rip a card, and that's crazy. They have 3 cards left. And we get Ghost Spell. Very interesting that they didn't Ghost Spell us, but I guess it's because we had Baron and they knew it. Having Baron means that we can actually just negate and just bring back something else and try to disrupt your opponent even more. But here, what we had a hand rip like last time. Again, a hand rip, Omni negate. You have to choose. You have a bounce with Lucina and then Tinia, and the bounce of Fortuna. But again, you have to choose 2 out of 3 because Regina will get the other one. So let's say we summon Tinia from the graveyard with the trap. That means Regina must send or special summon red from the deck to bounce, and then that would be it. So recapping again, 1 Omni negate, 1 hand rip, 1 bounce a monster level 6 or lower, 1 rip a card, the floodgate with Seraphim, the field negate with the trap, and hand traps. So that's 8 interruptions our opponent has to play through here. They play to try to add something. They did it on the draw phase, which is what we love, because that means we'll have 9 disruptions. We can easily send Baron back to the extra deck. We want to do that so we could just get Seraphim right away and just special summon whatever we need. They have 3 cards in their hand, and they try to Lightning Storm. Great thing here, Rhapsodia, Madness sends, and we can negate that. Really good here. And then they have 2 cards left in their hand. Negate that to negate Lightning Storm. They normal summon, and we're just gonna rip. They have no more cards. They can't extend with just 1 card in their hand. A really strong showcase of why this deck is so strong as pure build against Kewl Tunes, the strongest deck in the current format for May of 2026 right now. This duel is against the skin that they have, MST. And we go second. A deck finally going second. Our hand is actually a strong 2-card combos here that we have 1 each. Opponent tries to chant on the draw phase, which is smart. We cannot droll them. Now, standby phase, main phase. They summon Eldum. Eldum tries to add Crocea. And we droll them. Droll stops their plays. They set 2. Really good here. Hoping to get something good. We get Power Patreon, which is really good because we can actually extend a lot here. So we Theorealize or try to bait them. They take the bait and they try to max C here. Thankfully, we have the out Ash Blossom. Would suck if we didn't, because we'd lose. We Medius to send the other Medius. If you're wondering why, it's because we're gonna keep this for the normal summon here. If they happen to Ash us here. Choke point, we check. Boom. We synchro into Excel. This is the 1-card combo for the weakest combo in my opinion with Medius to Pure. Medius to Pure goes Excel, Power Patreon to add our red. Now we're gonna do reds combos like normal. They droll us. Scary stuff here now because we actually can't 1-card combo. So we send. This is a cool part. We're trying to show them and threaten them that we're trying to synchro summon here by lowering its level. They send Forbidden Droplet. Little do they know we have the extension here. Really strong here. Instead, and they Crocea here. Not ideal because then they have follow-up for next turn and the MST. We set a card intentionally here too because Crocea's effect, if there is a spell or trap that we control, this can now be destroyed by a battle or card effect. Synchro into Baron. Baron to hit Dominus Purge attacking. They have 1 card left. They're gonna draw, and we have 1 Omni Negate. In addition, we have Rhapsidia to bounce a card. In total, we checkmated them. That's more than enough. 2 disruptions, 2 cards. That's it. Because they do it under draw phase, which makes it even better. Because we're just gonna summon what we need. Because we're just gonna summon, I believe, nothing. Because they scooped. But what we would just summon is like Power Patreon just in case we needed it. And we could still synchro 7 and bounce a card. So in total, that was still enough. For this duel, we're going second again, and we're fighting Heca Hands. I have no idea what it does because this is a new deck. Heca Hands really jump scared the crap out of me. Not even explain what they do. I thought I got them good because they sent Illusion Gate, and I'm just gonna Ash them because they -1 in card economy here, right? But no, look, they check this out. They summon here, and I mistakenly did something incorrect. I have Fuvalos, but this was during stream, and I could not read quick enough because we're playing hard. They had Ibtil, Heca Hands Ibtil, and I thought it was gonna special summon from hand, but it's monster from your deck, so I didn't even do Fuvalos until now. It was a mistake on my end. And they get a random card, special summon it. Crazy. They look at our hand. I'm like, what is going on here? And the Heca Hands, I can't even say that. Joaz. We're good here. We have extension, but the thing is, if they negate one of these and we can't extend, it's gonna look bad. They go Heca Hands Xeno. I have no idea what it does. We have good gas right now. They look at our hand and they extra deck. They steal our Mud Dragon. They're cheating things out, and I'm like, what is going on? They send Dark, now I can't target it. But check this out. This is how you outplay. We try to bait them with Medius to Pure, and they try to special something again from our extra deck. They get Chaos Angel. Thankfully, it doesn't have its effect, because that would be troublesome. Theorealize to get check their top of the deck. We send the second copy Lucina for Pure to try to get Power Patreon. We want Power Patreon here because we want more than one to try to insulate ourselves here and extend. We get Regina here now. Now, this is important. We should have gotten, honestly, a second Power Patreon because we don't use our normal summon. Because if they somehow removed any of this, I would not have been able to synchro summon. You may wonder, how am I going to get rid of this tower here? This is a lot. Great question. This is why we run this Synchro 7 Black Rose Dragon. It's important we have this because 1, we chain block, this bomb the entire field, and we have follow-up with Elfnote Patreon. This is the highlight of the game. Blowing up the field, still having follow-up. continuing as if nothing happened, and we're still gonna have a 6 to 7 disruption board after bombing the field with Black Rose Dragon. This is why Black Rose Dragon is very important to have in this deck. It'll help you go second, it'll help you get follow-up right after if they don't threaten or stop that bomb. Thank you. So this game, we're fighting against K9, and we do misplays, so that's why I want to highlight it. This is actually a really not good hand. This is a very situational 2-card combo. This is why I'm sharing it. This is the situational parts of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! With this deck, because it does get a little convoluted. Because again, Fortuna does nothing by itself. You're going to get the trap, but you really can't extend or do anything with that. But thankfully, we got Power Patreon here, because we can treat it as if it's like any 1-card combo. Usually we always get Fortuna first, nor special summon to get trap. And then normal summon Power Patreon to make it level 9. Synchro to the Synchro 10. Have Insulation here on turn 3. And then Power Patreon will get us any color we need now. And we get Tinia, because Tinia is important to get, because if you don't get Tinia, you won't be able to extend here. Because extending here is important. If you get red or green, you'll be sending Madness. It's important to get Tinia specifically for this situation, because Tinia gets Spell, and Spell opens your middle monster ground. Thankfully, we are actually just sending Fruvalos, because then we could just get green because of the attribute instead of sending Tinia. And now we could just send Tinia or blue for green, and green gets us nothing because they imperm. We do misplay here though. This is why it's important. I do a boo-boo, and I send Elf Lucina. I meant to send not red, I should have sent green, because green gets us red. This is fire. You have to get the different attribute, so that was a mistake on my end. But it's okay. Here, it's a sad one, but what we have is 1 hand rip, 1 bounce, 1 Omni Negate, Super Poly, and 1 hand trap. 5 disruptions our opponent has to play through. We just rip them right away on the draw phase. It's Malulu. Sorry, it's not K9. This is actually... Oh, that's Dracotail. To kill Dracotail. Femina is a death sentence. That was good. So this duel, we're playing against Tenpai, and I believe they made us go first. They Mulcharmy Perulias, and I'm like, oh no. Instead, we're just gonna try to summon, and wow, they are really messing us up. Yeah, there's a problem with this deck to half board, so I did not like that. I felt super bad. I just said, I thought it was over, to be honest. Letting us go first. I just... Madness to try to get Tinia. That's not gonna do anything, to be honest. They Regeki us, so it wouldn't have mattered. I could have negated it, but there it is. It's Pydra. Then this is a real reason why we play Super Poly. It saved my life. This would have been a game-ending game. Because they have their Tenpai special on the battle phase, Super Poly, discarding. And then we get Garuda. I should have put in defense, but I think they knew it's over. Yes, that was really good. Second to last duel, we're fighting against Kewl Tunes, and this is, I believe, a 1-card combo with Lucina, but it does get disrupted. And against Kewl Tunes, we do pretty well. Special summon Lucina to get ashed. This is why I want to highlight this part. This is our only starter for non-engine. This is a normal hand, typically, and because of that, we don't have a way to play. It kind of sucks. We set. We have 4 disruptions here, though. Well, actually less. We have 3 because Super Poly discards. The Elfnote Fortuna. This is actually, I'm sorry, a mirror match of Elfnote KT. Kewl Tune Clip. We go into Excel Synchro. Excel special summons at level 2 or lower, and then Kewl Tune Clip is they got a really good card. And I'm sad because now they have 2 tuners, which was a great super poly target. However, we keep super poly in our hearts because even though they comboing off on us, they attack us, and the game is almost over. So this is again a problem with the deck with just having that one starter get ashed generically. It's hard, it really is. So we super poly, discarding Perulia, sending the 2. You might think to yourself, how are you gonna summon Regina? Well, thankfully we have a monster on our end. We just tribute summon Regina. Regina gets power Patreon. They're trying to negate, and thankfully we bait them. They should have waited for me to use this on chain 1, but instead they chain 1 trying to scare us first. But I guess it's valid because no matter what, we would have went into Seraphim and still gotten Lucina and still comboed off like nothing. But we go into Baron, Patreon, and Regina to hand... Well, I'm sorry, to insulate power Patreon, but we just negate it because we're not scared anymore. Here we get Regina here. Power Patreon gets us our Tinia. Tinia gets us a spell. Spell sends for red, and red gets our last color, and they knew it was over. This is a situational one where, see, since we don't need a normal summon within this deck, you can actually just tribute summon. So very important, the super poly. Without super poly in pure, it comes in clutch, but it's not ideal to end turn pass like that. One last final duel going first. This is a situational combo with just having Welcome Home in your hand. You usually don't. This should be a dead hand, but because of Welcome Home plus sending, you really just want to summon Regina with this board because you'll just extend even more. Shout out to the YouTuber, the Shapiest of the Snatches. He's an amazing duelist. I watch all his videos because he's so informative. So shout out to him. Without that combo, I would have never learned this. So shout out to you, Shapiest. We Welcome Home. Welcome Home sends Ghost Spell for Regina. Regina gets Lucina or Red. Red gets us Power Patreon. Power Patreon normal summon. This is the 4th summon. Synchro into Baron. 5th summon. And then Power Patreon gets us green. And then green also gets us yellow. And then yellow gets us Trap. Trap gets us Seraphim. You were not going into blue here if you're wondering why, is because we already had started with blue, that's why. Then we synchro into Crystal Wing. We go into Crystal Wing here is because they didn't even interrupt us. And that is troublesome because I don't know what they're gonna do. They can board wipe us or use a monster negate, so that's why we need more disruption rather than ripping resources. Because they could easily just one card combo. Opponent goes on the main phase. They map. And I think that's a good thing because we have Droll and Lock. Because we could just Droll and Lock them, they lose 4,000. And that was the right play because they call by the grave. But I'm gonna negate that with Baron. And now, because Baron negates, I can use Madness's effect to send Baron. They normal summon here, but they can't add. And we just ash that because I know they can't add anymore. They need to add Blue Eyes. Without that, they quit. They knew it was too much. We had the Super Poly. I even forgot to show the disruptions, but just know it's between 7 disruptions with the Super Poly. As always, it's typical end board uninterrupted. So 7. So this is pure Elfnote. I really wanted to show pure again only because if you can play pure, you could play the other variants. Knowing the one card combo is the reason for this video, to show the one card combos to add what you want. However, I still think it's possible that pure is the most optimal as of now until the support cards come. Only time will tell. Fiendsmith is a close runner-up. We will only see, but again, there are examples. Super Poly came in clutch. It's such a strong card. This deck has enough extra deck space to special summon it and have this, and this is a great card. Shout out again to NDR Lucas for using Chorozo, because you could just use your whole deck as spellcasters plus their one boss monster to get rid of it. So yeah, it's a good deck. And my only issue, my only gripe is that starting with a 1-card combo, if it's a normal card like Ash, Imperm, Effect Veiler, will stop our plays. In addition, Droll can also stop our plays if that's the case, and then you won't be able to play or you're gonna half board. The way to make up for it though is that since you're playing a bunch of hand traps, your opponent can't play either. The only pickle though is that cards like Fuvalos and Perulia won't be online if you have a card on the field. So please do keep that in mind. However, again, this whole video's purpose is to show the 1-card combos of pure elf nodes. It is an unexplored deck. I hope this made sense. This deck profile, 1-card combo diagram, and the replays, because the deck is fun and it has a future in Master Duel. Thank you guys so much. I spent a lot of time trying to make this video as quick as I could and show it. I really hope I helped someone. We're so close to our 1,000 sub goal. Every sub counts. I hope you guys can like, comment, and sub. You guys have been making me more motivated to play more as I can, but you know, life be busy sometimes. So thank you guys again wholeheartedly. Once we get to our 1,000 goal, please, it's a reminder, we are going to have a giveaway, most likely a Steam gift card giveaway. So please don't forget that and check that out. I can't wait to give that away to you guys because you guys deserve it. I wouldn't be here without you guys. Thank you guys so much. RuneXYGO out.